Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lautaro.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Well, good evening everybody and welcome back to the Rangers Journal, the only place where we need VAR, a solicitor and possibly a referee, witness protection scheme after that 2-each draw. Rangers concede 2, scored 2 and apparently the rulebook disappears in the 94th minute. Tonight we're asking the big questions. Was it actually a penalty? Does clear and obvious mean clear and obvious to everyone except the officials? And how do you process a game like that had everything except justice at the end? Finished 2 each. Felt like dropped points in the end to me. We're going to break down the goals and momentum swings, the big performances, and yes, we'll absolutely revisit that moment at the death. Strap in, hydrate, breathe, because I'm starting off with this. Right, so quickly, Chris, welcome to the pod, mate.
Thanks for having us, Scotty. Good to get this off the chest. After a couple of hours of watching it back, I was just saying to Graham there, I was back and forth, Scotty, I'm not going to lie, but I've watched it 3 or 4 times now since the post-match pod, and for me, it's a clear red card, penalty all day long. And the frustrating thing is, Scotty, these are decisions that will cost people leagues and cost people jobs, and that should not be happening in this day and age. So to have this conversation is absolutely the right thing, because we need to highlight this as far and as wide as possible. And Rangers, to be fair, need to step up and highlight this as well, because it's simply not acceptable anymore, mate, in my opinion.
Definitely. Graham, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, Scotty, good. Still bad taste in the mouth after the end of that game, to be fair, but it's good to get it, as Chris said, get it off our chest, have a good wee chat about it. Hopefully it's therapeutical for us all.
Dino, welcome, mate. On mute. Sorry, it was the SFE when they were getting booked anyway. How you doing, pal?
Scunnered, absolutely scunnered.
Aye, it's you. Give me your big words and your thoughts on the referee's performance today, Dino.
Oh, I've seen hungover amateur referees on a Sunday morning. Referee better than that. For a top flight referee, that's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Aye, words fail me.
Well, mate, the referee to me looked as if he was just out of uni today, like fresh-faced, baby-faced, like certainly looks a lot younger than you, if you don't mind me saying.
Really be difficult, Scotty.
It's just, I don't know who the referee was today, if I'm being honest, but I mean, you've got David Dickinson and Don Robertson in the VAR room. They're also saying that VAR can't get involved. How can they not get involved?
I mean, in terms of the referee's performance, I couldn't care what he looked like. You've got to get control of the game. And I didn't think he got control of the game fairly on. Let a lot of things go, let them away with quite a bit. But in terms of that specific incident, you've really got to understand, if he doesn't see it, fair enough, right? Fair enough. And I think there's a bit of referees where they don't want to make big calls during the game, and they want the game refereed by VAR. And I think that's part of the problem as well. But how VAR can look at that and not see that's clear and obvious error is beyond me. I said after the game and the pod after the game, I'm sure Willie Collum will come out with his ducks lined up and he'll have his script ready to go and there'll be nothing to see here. But for me, it really does stink. Absolutely stinks.
Chris, I'm going to come to you with the same question, mate.
Shocking, mate. Referee was Ryan Lee. Scotty, this is the first time I've seen him in a Rangers game. He might have done something before with Rangers, but it's the first time I've seen him. If I'm being honest, mate, he has been a lower league referee in recent seasons, and I think his performance today summed up where he should be in terms of a referee, because that for me, towards the not even the last one, Scotty, in terms of the penalty and the sending off there, it's the stupid free kicks that he's not given throughout the course of the game, which is so frustrating as well. And there's quite some clear free kicks that are happening that are not fouls in certain places of the game. Livingston's men are going down left, right, and centre, and they're clearly not fouls. And then as soon as the Rangers players going down, he's not given nothing. I think there was 3 tackles on Chukwueze in the first half, in the first 10 minutes, that all 3 could have been a booking, and he's not given it. So for me, the referees are an absolute shocker today. But the challenge now that Rangers are going to have is, how does the SFA get past this? They simply cannot come out and hold their hands up and say, we got it wrong, we move on. That doesn't cut it anymore for Rangers. And it shouldn't cut it anymore for Rangers fans either to accept this, because that there today, we said it just before we came on, that could have a massive bearing on the title. As much as we hate to say it, it's got a huge bearing. Look at this. How can this not be a goal-scoring opportunity, right? He's came across, I think Andy Halliday said it after the game, he's going to take a shot away there if that boy doesn't bring him down. And when you look at it, the first contact that Sky show isn't the point of contact where he comes down. He's touched his leg, fair enough, but the point of contact where he's come down is the sweeping motion which happens when he's on the line, if not inside the box. So for me, it's a clear red card. For the fact the referee there has not given anything at all whatsoever, tells me he's absolutely bottled it, and he didn't want to make that decision at that point in time. He's relied on VAR to go and make the decision for him, hoping that he's made the right one. But he's massive error in this one, and I think it'll be shown when this guy's not given a top flight game next week. I'd be astonished if this guy's in a top flight place next week. I really would be, mate.
Dean, now see if you look at the position of the referee, right? Hold on, wait, I'll be able to pause it for you. So every tackle, the referee's just on the outside of the box. He's seen the whole tackle. How can he not gain a foul for that now? Whether it's outside the box or whether it's in, he's got to begin some kind of foul on that, isn't he? Surely.
Well, aye. It's right in his line of sight. And I mean, irrespective of the fact if he can't make that call, the linesman can see it clear as day. So if the referee is unable to make the right call, the linesman is the next port of call to say to the referee, by the way, you got that one wrong. And absolutely nothing from either of them. So the referee, I think we can all say all day that the referee should be given it as a foul, but if you can say that a player's blocked his line or whatever, the linesman's got a clear view of that. So if not one, 2 people should definitely be saying that that's a foul, and absolutely astonished that neither of them have.
I definitely, mate. Chris, I'm going to come back to you. You mentioned a couple of fouls in the first half. Now, I think the boy that was playing number 6 for Livingston, who's one of the smaller players, he put his studs down his side. I think it might have been Moore's calf, and he butted Chukwueze in the side of the face, and there wasn't even a yellow card given. On mute, mate. On mute.
Sorry, mate. Apologies. You're spot on, mate. I think Scott, I'll refer back to the Hibs Celtic game a couple of seasons ago. There's a challenge in the box. The boy goes to get the header, and the referee gives a penalty, and I think he gives a yellow card at the same time for a clash of heads in the box. And everybody's looking at that point and thinking, how can that be a penalty and a yellow card? To your point, the referee's seen that clear as day. Chukwueze gets taken, it's a head to the side of the face he's got, goes down, there's no even any booking on it, right? And it's just that for me is the whole inconsistency piece from it. It's absolutely shocking. And I think the big part of all of this, Scotty, as well, we're putting the blame firmly at the referee, right? Because the referee hasn't made that decision in real time, right? Now you can forgive that if VAR steps in and says it's a mistake, you're going to go and try it, right? Or you can forgive that for any decision. My big challenge here is you've got 2 really senior officials in David Dickinson and Don Robertson watching that like we all are watching it every single time, and they still can't come to the right decision. Now, let's take Rangers out of this. If this was any other game in any other team, you'd be saying the exact same thing. And look, Scottish football referees have not done themselves any justice at all with some of the decisions that have happened over the last few weeks. In the last couple of nights, you look at some of the decisions it took on Friday, the Saturday nights at Motherwell game. The referees in this country are an absolute shambles, and I hate to say that because I don't want to be this guy who's jumping on the bandwagon and jumping on the back of referees, but it's continually, time and time again, that this has happened. And if there's someone on that commentary who is probably the the biggest influencer for the team across the city, who can say the exact same thing as us, it was a penalty, and in his mind it was a red card, then we should all just shut up and go home now, because he says it was right and he was absolutely spot on. And if referees are fundamentally not getting these decisions right, then if some people are saying in the comments here, Willie Collum's position is untenable. He cannot continue because he's continually coming out and trying to defend the indefensible week after week. But it's not just these decisions we're saying, Scott. It's small decisions which are just basic that you wouldn't even see in a junior field happening. That's the challenge for me, and that's where I feel so passionately that these referees, they're getting away with one. They're getting away with it now. Whether it's incompetence or whether it's corruption or whatever people want to say, there's something behind it. And until we get that root of that problem gone, Scottish football will not be able to carry on. And we had a massive opportunity before Willie Collum came in to restart Scottish football from a refereeing point of view. And they decided to promote within to the person who was probably one of the biggest failures as a referee towards the end. And that's why he took the step back as a referee. To then put him into that position for me is absolutely unbelievable. And I think what we've seen since VAR's been introduced, it's just got worse and worse and worse every time. And that's why, for me, Rangers have to go to town on this. They really have to put the pressure on this, mate. They really do.
Graham, I'll let it come to you on kind of just how we could go about fixing this. But I've got this kind of comment here, and it's bottom line is the referees are relying too heavily on VAR. Should the referee be relying on VAR with a tackle like that?
No, absolutely not. If we want to give the referee a little bit of credit, his position's actually not too bad for this. He's in a good place to be to make the right call, and he's got to say that. See the course of action, where the defender comes in, whether he gets the ball or not, and he should be judged on whether he makes the right call with his own eyes in that good position. You know, never mind VAR. You'd expect that referee to get that right without any VAR involvement. And obviously that's not happened. VAR's had a look at it, and they've taken the decision of let's just restart the game and nothing to be seen here, kind of thing, which is bizarre. So yeah, our quality of refereeing has not been good. Let's not kid ourselves on. This isn't just this season. This is over a number of years. Quality refereeing is not good. Nothing seems to be getting done about it. There's no accountability. Willie Collum is head of referees, oversees probably the worst refereeing standard we've seen in generations in Scottish football, and he's not held account for it, no matter anything about VAR. So that's the position we're in. At the point when the referee does get it wrong, you expect VAR to come in and be robust, and that's not been the case this season either. We've seen that, and listen, we've been in the fortunate side of a decision like Livy at Ibrox where they should have got a penalty, but again, these decisions, the whole point of VAR is to get these things right. And if we're spending this money in VAR and still not getting the right outcomes and decisions, you've got to ask what's going on. And that's down to Willie Collum and his position as head of refereeing. It's getting worse.
Aye, definitely. We've spoke about on these pods for years now about putting referees full time and how can you fix it and laddie dum. But I don't really want to be here to offer solutions tonight, because that could be a title winning decision that either could come back to bite us in the arse at the end of the season. Dino, I've never been one for keeping quiet on bad Rangers performances. Let's start with Gita Gassama today. I thought he was utterly hopeless, if I'm being honest. I thought he offered absolutely nothing going forward. Which people in the comments, please get your opinions in on the performance as well. We're not just here to speak about a refereeing decision tonight. We're here to cover the whole lot. Dean, what's your take, mate?
Aye, how that man lasted 80 minutes on the pitch has beyond belief. I'm quite vocal in the group chat about my opinion on Gassama, and there's a few in there that hound me and whatever, but I just don't rate him at all. Aye, fair enough, he came on last week and he done the basics right of an attacking player, great assist and whatnot, but that's the standard it should be for a team like Rangers. And like, I know football's obviously changed from when I played football many years ago, but I'm right-footed and I was a right winger. See this nonsense about him not being good on the right, he's only good on the left. He's right-footed, and in my opinion, he should be good on the right wing, but as I said, I know football's changed, but he just offers nothing. He's got no footballing IQ. He doesn't make it, like, he just does nothing at all that makes you think, oh, this guy's got something about him. Has flashes of brilliance here and there, but we've all seen that over the years, haven't we? And again, how he lasted 80 minutes, I'll never know, especially in a game where he's offering nothing. They're down to 10 men. Just absolutely baffling how he stays on the park. What I will say, though, is when we had the offer for him in January, I wanted us to accept it, which I think a lot of people did. But see, looking back now, I think there's more people saying, well, we should have done. But if we're able to get anything close to that in the summer, we should be selling them right away, because we can't be relying on a player coming on the last 20 minutes to hopefully create something against teams. But when they're tired, but we can't have a player like that in the squad. No, for me.
Aye, definitely. Graham, I'm going to come back to you on the first half performance. 1-0 down, early second half. We concede fairly early. And it's an uphill battle for there, isn't it?
Aye, very much so. I was looking for us to come out and get that first goal in that first 15, 20 minutes, get the goal, be on the front foot. I always felt if the game went on, nothing needs so longer that went on would suit Livingston. And unfortunately, what I didn't foresee is Livingston actually take the lead. So, really poor first half. Although I thought we started okay, Scotty, if I'm honest. I thought we moved the ball fairly quickly. We came out as if we listened to the manager's instructions. We knew what we had to do. But there's that wee bit of resilience missing with this group of players, where if things don't go well right away, sometimes their heads can go down and they go back doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They slow the possession down and slow the ball moving around the pitch down, and they start making poor decisions. And that's probably what we've seen today. The goal we lost, the first goal was extremely poor. Second goal was pretty poor as well, if I'm honest. When we lose poor goals against an opposition like Livingston, we're going to struggle. We are going to struggle. And had Livy not went down to 10 men, I'm not sure we'd have got a point today, if I'm honest. That's how poor I thought we were today.
Fair enough. Chris, I'm going to come to you, the manager. I thought his team selection was wrong today. I was doing a Green Up Rangers watching it, and there was a couple of people calling for his head, kind of as the second goal went in, and I thought that's just a bit mental. Do you lay any blame at the manager's door for that today?
It's a tough one, Scotty, and I say this from the point of view of, if it's not for Danny Rule and what he's done since he's come into Rangers, we're not in this position, right? We're probably sitting mid-table at the moment. So for me, on the basis of, do I want him gone? Would I call for his head? Not a chance. No way whatsoever would I do that. I look at his lineup today, and I say to myself, the only one that I'd have probably potentially been looking at, or probably only two, would have been Ant-Man for Gassama. And the other one I probably would have been looking at would have been Nadiri in there as well. Whether you're maybe taking Moore out the side and putting Nadiri in there up top, or whether you're going with one of Rask and Chukwueze, I think it's a difficult one from a lineup point of view. Also taking into consideration the pitch that we're playing on, because the pitch is absolutely horrendous. It's probably one of the worst ones you see down there. But I think in terms of lineup, Scotty, no. I don't think he could have done much different than the changes. The Gassama one's really frustrating me, because I think he's so much better as an impact player, and he should be coming off the bench and stretching his legs for the last 10, 15 minutes or so. But Nadiri, obviously, we knew wasn't fully fit. He hadn't trained on Friday. I think he trained on Saturday. So there was obviously a risk putting him in there. But would you ask me, would I put the blame on the manager? No. I just think the thing that's worrying me here with this one, guys, and I think you will all understand what I mean by this, is that's 3 away games now we've dropped points in a row. Right now, Motherwell, you could maybe understand given the situation. Hibs one, you could probably look at and say, given how they've done today, yes, you can understand why they've dropped. But the Hibs one, Hibs were poor, really poor, and we just were worse at that point in time. And then you look at it today in the circumstances today, I think the players need to take a long, hard look at themselves, Scotty, in that first half, and probably even up to the 60th, 70th minute. I think they need to take a long, hard look at themselves, because I thought Livingston were fairly comfortable up until the point they get the man sent off. Once they get the man sent off, the attitude changes, the mindset changes, the players drop back in, and that's what happened there. Fair play to the Livingston goalkeeper. I think we need to give him a bit of credit. He's made some 3-4 world-class saves there today. But Rangers should be getting out there. They should have had the attitude from the off to go put a couple of goals in and finish that game. And that's maybe where, well, I'm not blaming the manager. Is he maybe just too inexperienced from the point of view? You're in a title run. You need to push for this now. And you need to make sure that you're firing from all cylinders from minute one to the last minute, not 60 minutes in, because that's against a Motherwell or a Hearts or a Hibs or even for a bit Celtic at that point. You don't get away with that today. And that's the big one. And we've seen this story, Scotty, too many times. That's my real frustrate with this. Suter, Tav, I'm Tav's biggest fan, Scotty, you know that. But wow, he had an absolute shocker today. He really did. I don't think Tav covered himself in glory. And John Suter, look, I'll reserve judgment on him, but I don't think he's what Rangers need. I think we need to go out and sign 2 really good centre halves in the summer, because he's not the answer for Rangers, and I think that showed today. Again, his attitude just wasn't there, and it was right that he got whipped off after 60 minutes.
Aye, definitely. I need to agree with it. I can't disagree with anything you've said. Dean, I'd like to come to you on, I need to address these comments first. Shankland is a Hearts supporter that comes on quite regularly. He's come in, he's gave us one tight tonight, fair enough, but he's also said there's 33 points to play for, don't get up. I think Hearts' form's going to drop at some point, but when or where, who knows. Dane, as Chris says there, that's 3 away games, 3 draws now. To me, Danny Rowe baffled me by not starting Mohamed Diamande. Nicholas Raskin isn't 80 races just now. Diamande's outside corner Barron's probably the most improved player under Danny Rowe I've noticed recently. Really stepping up. And then he doesn't go in for Thelo Asgard today. Why? Talk me through it.
Aye. Funny because I gave Diamande the benefit of the doubt for quite a long time then. I was like, oh no, he's guff. But then, as you said, under Rowe, he's actually coming on to a game by game. It just looks better and better. Raskin, as we've discussed, Scotty, he just comes far too deep. He gets the ball, he slows the game down. It's like being bipolar. Last week against Hearts, we were quick, we were direct. This week we were just slow and passive. And Raskin adds to that and offers absolutely nothing. And his distribution today, even basic 20-yard passes to his right and whatnot was going to play. And it's like, what's real seen there that's making him think, oh, he's we need to keep him on. Like, do you know, even if he's like made the wrong decision in starting him, he should have been bringing him off. And then to get somebody like Asgard on, who's just like a scared wee moose in a game that we're needing players with a specific mentality to drive this team on to claw back and win the game. At what point in Asgard Rangers' career has he made you think that he's the guy to do that? Not once. And Diamande has been looking a lot more determined, a lot more hungrier, and has been given the team much more of an impact when he's been playing, scoring, assisting, and he's just getting dirty in terms of being driven and winning the ball in Midley Park. His game's actually improved quite a lot, and Asgard I can't stand the guy, honestly. I remember somebody comparing him to Todd Cantwell. Hell, again, I'd rather have Todd Cantwell in the team than him. And I'm being serious.
I know you're being serious. There's been a lot of talk about TikTok Todd recently. I know he's your favourite ex-player in that, Scotty, but what I'm saying is I'd rather have him in the team than Asgard. I would agree with you.
Asgard and him coming on when we're chasing the game, you're just like, what are you doing, man? Like, I know we didn't see the players Monday to Friday, but as Nuji said, or I'm sure somebody said in the pod, you didn't pay your season ticket to see what they're like in training. The players want to see the team winning. And when Asgard came on, I think every Rangers fan just went, "No, this isn't happening today." You know, Simple as that. But how he gets on before Dear Monday beggars belief.
Yep. Graham, this pod's a wee bit all over the place in terms of I've not put a structure on it, and in terms of like minutes of the game. I'm just wanting maybe a general discussion. Ross has come in for the pod and he said we created more than enough 14 shots on target. It isn't Roll's fault we couldn't score them now. There's been a lot of stats and XG in the comments as well, but I've not put them up on purpose because I'm an eye test guy, and for me, Rangers didn't deserve to win that game today. They should have, but they didn't deserve it. I mean, 14 shots on target, what to do for me on the eye, it wasn't good enough.
No, I think you're right. That the first half, really disappointing. First kind of 20 minutes, second half, equally as poor. We did create chances. One of the things I've been quite critical of Roll's side is since they came in, we've not created a lot of chances for open play. Now, we did create reasonable chances today, but just weren't sharp enough at certain points. And that's really frustrating. If you look at some of the chances we had, probably Romans' head, that was a great save for the goalkeeper. I thought he was really unlucky that if that goes in, possibly we're looking at a different game today. Again, that's that early goal, probably what we needed. But we created some decent chances for this team, but we just weren't clinical enough in that final third. And ultimately, if you're clinical, then that's what wins you games and wins you leagues. So that's the most frustrating thing. On the other hand, our usual handicap at the back is giving away poor goals, and we did that against the side that's sitting bottom of the league. If you go away to Livingston or sitting bottom of the league and give them a 2-goal head start, you don't deserve to win the game, and that's really not a title winning draw. Some draws we might look back at the end of the season going, that was a good point away from home. I actually think the Motherwell point potentially could be a good away point with how they're playing, but that point today and probably the point away at Hibs just not good enough if you really want to go and push on and win that league. That's what it comes down to. And we're in the first time now we can say since last week, we could win every game now between now and the end of the season and still not win the league because we need Hearts to drop points. That's ultimately the way I'm looking at it just now. For the first time, we are not in control of what happens to us in this league, and that's really frustrating, especially when it's Livingston that's put that scenario down to us as well.
Graham, I just want to jump over to Scotty for a wee second, because Scotty, you've been very kind enough to put this together and allow us to all have our venting of frustration and stuff, right? Where do you stand with this today, Scotty? Let's go back to, I know I just said earlier we're jumping a bit about here, but let's go back to the referee's performance and the decision making. It's not the first time this has happened, mate. So where do you stand in all this from a referee perspective? And then we'll come to your comments on the actual performance itself.
I don't buy into the whole corrupt thing. It's just not something that ever really enters my mind, and it's not something I want us as a channel to be. It's not a narrative I want to be punting, if that makes any sense. I think, as Derek Johnson once says, these things all kind of even themselves out over the course of a season, but they shouldn't need to now because we've got you've got another 4 eyes on every kind of single decision it's made, and I think the way the VAR's laid out is wrong. I think the interpretation of the rules is still causing too many questions. The decision making is as poor as it's ever been, if I'm being honest. There's nothing to really. Could that have a direct effect on us? Of course it could, Chris. But for me, it's Livingston, bottom of the league. Rangers should be having them dead and buried before you even get to the 94th minute. We shouldn't be having to come on here and playing clips over again and again because Fitler's Fitler and we're a better team than them, as the table tells you. So it shouldn't even have been a question of that today. It should have been a factor in the game and a discussion point, but it shouldn't decide the result, if that makes any sense, because Rangers are good enough to go out and beat Livingston. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We should be Scott. We should be going out there and really take them to task. And I think that's what we spoke about earlier. It's the attitude of the players then at this point in time, because you shouldn't be leaving it to chance for the referees to make these decisions or get these decisions wrong. It's got to be on the players to push forward. So on that basis then, Scotty, you asked us the question, did the manager get it wrong in selection today? I'll ask you the same question. What was your take on, or probably to generalise this, what's your take on Danny Rowe from the last 3 away games perspective, because we continue to talk about lineup and whether he's getting the right lineup in these games. Has this, again, in your opinion, been another week where he has made the wrong decision, or is it because of the circumstances he's had to put that team in there today and not played the ones that we wanted to go over and above again?
He's rotating too much and he's changing formation too much for me, Chris. We saw at Hibs it was a very flat performance, and that's 1 in 7 or 8 at a time. You could probably understand. Motherwell, you're seconds away from finishing that game off. There should have been a 3 points and a win. Today, there's just no excuses for me. He's made the wrong calls in his lineup. When he first came in, he was changing things very early. He's changed it far too late because Gassama was still on the park. Asgard coming on, that's questionable. Nadim Bayrami, I thought he changed the game when he came on today. If I'm being brutally honest, I think subbing Scott Olsen was probably the right call. But then there's only so much Danny Rowe can do. Players need to go out and perform, and they're not performing, but then you need to ask yourself why, and you need to come up with some kind of solution to it. Back to his rotation, he rotated going away to Hibs, I think. No, Motherwell. His starting lineup at Motherwell was rank rotten, shouldn't have happened. Livingston again, obviously not good enough. Formation changes. I felt as if he was trying to throw the brown stuff at one. Hope it stuck a wee bit today towards the end of the match. Suter come off. I think it was Asgard that came on, or vice versa. It was an attacking player for a defender. And Raskin's still in the park, and Diamandi's not getting on. Now, Diamandi can make a direct effect on his matches. He's experienced in the league. He's got good numbers. His performances have been really good. Why did he not come on? Why did Theo Asgard come on? What's the big fuss about persisting with this guy? Because fair enough, he'll pop up and score the odd goal at Pataudry and whatever else, and he'll pop up in the box at a set piece, but I'm not really caring about anything like that, because he's not grafting, he's not got the dig, he's not got the work rate, he's not got the heart for it. And Baron Loyal come in, he's played a 307 with 1 centre back at the end. So it is kind of confusing the players, if that makes any sense. To me, anyway, that would have been confusing, seeing all these different subs coming on and what system is it you're playing, what is it you're trying to do. There was one chance in the second half where I looked on the right hand side and Tav had the full side, and the pitch after the red card, and he just travelled the ball forward. They played Nadiri in behind, and Nadiri played the ball across the box. How did we not do more of that? Because if that's where his space is, go and utilise it. Do you know what I mean? We didn't do enough for me today.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think, Scotty, that's the big frustration for a lot of Rangers fans. When you see the comments tonight and you hear the discussions that are happening across social media, that is a real frustration, is that we didn't do enough today, which was just so poor. I just want to cover yourself if we can on this. So you've heard obviously Scotty's points, you've heard Graham's points in this. Rangers now under Danny Rule, we've got to keep pushing forward. Graham made a really good point earlier on. You can still win every single game between now and the end of the season, right? And we're going to need favours somewhere along the line from other teams. I think we spoke about this, in a pod weeks ago when Danny Rule was just brought into the club, right? And one of the things we said was, if he ever got us into a position where we were challenging for the title, does he have the experience and around him to help get us over the line? Now, you look at today, we were going to drop points at some point in time between now and the end of the season. It's just inevitable it's going to happen, especially in a title race. Do you think Danny Rule and the Rangers squad have got enough experience around them to help guide them over the line in this from a coaching perspective? Because to Scotty's point, there's been some mistakes made today. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I wouldn't agree with some people that Scott was with earlier saying about calling for the manager's head. But at the same time, you've got to question some of the decisions that's been made. And that whole 3-0-7 formation is just mental at that point in time when you're trying some. Does Danny Rule maybe need a wee bit more experience and around them to help guide through the next 10 games, do you think?
Well, to be quite honest with you, his coaching staff, I don't know too much about their coaching history and what they've achieved in their previous roles and jobs, but I know that Stevie Smith has been there and done it for us. So he's won silverware as a player with us. So I think giving him maybe more of a maybe more of an important role between now and then the end of the season, and being somebody that Danny can go to and ask and allow him to be more vocal on the training ground, in the changing room, in the dugout. Because, like what you're saying about that 307, I was I was looking at it with 3 centre forwards on that were 6 foot or over, and we're pinging daisy cutters here and there, and I'm like, why would just no long ball in it high in the air for somebody to header it and get a flick on like old school football? Because I thought that was the point in playing them all. If I'm being quite honest with you, like that's what I was thinking. We're going to see a direct game here, and we're just going to be getting it and having the one centre half, one central midfielder getting the ball, launching it forward and flick on and hoping that something can come of it, a free kick, a corner, whatever, or flicking it on or a goal. Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought was going to happen, but that didn't happen, and that may well be a lack of experience. And like Scotty said there, it was looking for the brown stuff to throw at the ball and for it to stick. Yeah, and that shouldn't be the case when you're in a title run and you're chasing a game against 10 men, bottom of the league. We should not be in that position to begin with. And I hope I never see that ever again from a Rangers manager ever in my lifetime, would be having that. And then, like Asgard, we signed him as a forward player, somebody that can make a difference. He was coming as deep as a centre half to get the ball and things. Yeah, absolutely. So, like, his attacking attributes weren't being used at all. So that, again, it was a waste of time bringing him on. But if you at least bring him on and try and utilise his attacking strengths for the betterment of the team. But in terms of experience round about, as I said, I don't know too much about his coaching staff, if they've been with previous clubs and they've won things. But Danny's also been, when he was younger, was not manager, but a coach at Bayern, and they're a very successful team. So he has, been part of coaching staff and setups that have been winning trophies and stuff. So, irrespective of his young age, he should still have a bit of experience about what's required to go with the finish line. And I do appreciate that most seasons Bayern Munich usually are out in front by a country mile by the time the season finishes, but still, there's still an awful lot of things that are required to consistently do that. And also being involved with the German national team as well. I do believe that he's got the experience there in terms of the demands and things like that. But as I say, maybe giving Stevie Smith more of an important role between now and the end of the season to say to him, look, maybe we should be doing this instead of doing that, and another thing I want to go off my chest is see the formation change. Like, I just thought it was genuinely just thought of the way that the momentum was after finishing against Hearts, but we're just going to keep going today with that same formation and the same setup, the same tactics. That's what I thought we were going to do, just go and steamroll them and get 2 or 3-0 up early and close the door. But was need to be.
I think that's what the players were thinking as well, Dino. That's certainly the attitude that came across in that one as well. It was a turn-up job and see where it goes from there. Two next questions I want to pose, one to Graham and then one to Scotty on the back of this. Graham, 10 games to go, as we spoke about. Every game is vital. Starting next week, biggest game of the season again. Every game feels to be the biggest game of the season at this moment in time, right? Starting again next week, we have to go again. I really liked Danny Rule at the end of his interview today. He's trying to put the positive spin and everything. He's trying to always look forward and lead the players to say, we're still in this. It's only 4 points. We all know here we've been in a worse position with less games to go and we've still come round and won the titles, right? So it's not all doom and gloom at the moment. Still got 10 games. In your opinion, how does Rangers approach this? Do they have to turn around and say, right, every game's a must win? Or does they carry out what Danny Rose has been preaching? It's always the next game. What's your view on that one, man?
I mean, first of all, every game is a must-win game at Rangers Football Club, no matter position you're in. That's the mentality this club needs. That's the mentality our manager needs. That's the mentality the players need. That's the mentality we've got as supporters. Every game has got to be about winning every game. We'll go into the next game I'm sure we'll get a rise from these group of players. I think Barry Ferguson said that last year. Getting them fired up and ready to go against Celtic isn't the problem. Or in Europe or any of these big games, you could put Hearts in there at that. Getting them fired up for Livy away, that's some of the things we've seen historically with some of this group of players. So I think we'll be right up for it next week. It's a must-win game. I think we'll win at Ibrox. And then it's about winning every game after that before the split. I don't think we can afford to drop any more points before the split. When we then go into the split, I think you're going to see all three teams dropping some points. I think Motherwell will have a role to play in this outcome, but one way or another. I think some points drop then. And that's for all three clubs, to be honest. So we're going to need to, for me, we need to win every game between now and get into that split. I think this will go right down to the wire. I really do. It's frustrating how many points we've gave up unnecessarily, and I would include today as one of those games where that we should not have dropped points. But there's been too many of them, Chris, if I'm honest, over the past couple of months as well. I felt we should have really went and beat Hibs away. We didn't turn up at that game either, quite similar to what we've seen today. We just didn't turn up. And if you're fighting for the league title, it's just not acceptable not to turn up in games and put in a performance that's anywhere near acceptable of title challengers. And if we don't get the players in the right place to go out and do that, then we're not going to win the league. In terms of the coaching staff, and again, similar to Dino, Rowe's got a good pedigree around some of the clubs he's been about, the German national anthem. Our problem's on the park. We've not got enough winners on that park. When it's all said and done, the manager and the coaches can set us up as best they possibly can. Unless we've got the mentality and the winners on the pitch to go and deliver that, we're not going to win leagues. And that's where I think we've got the problem. I think Tav's probably the only league championship winner in that squad today. That's not enough for us. We need winners in that team. We need people who've been there, done it, won medals, won leagues, and until we get a squad with some more experience at that, it's going to be difficult for us.
Absolutely. There's a comment there, Rowe's giving too much respect to some of the teams' league. I totally agree with that one. I think 100% that's the situation at the moment. And it's frustrating because you just want to go and not show respect to these teams and fire away with it. So, we'll see how that plays. Scotty, just if I can, two questions I wanted to ask to yourself. The second one's going to be based on why we've done this podcast and some of the comments off the back of it. However, I'm looking at this as a case of there's a lot of football to be played. Somebody said that one of the Hearts guys said it earlier on, still 31 points to be played for, right? For some teams. So still a long way to go, right? Let's not kid ourselves, a long way to go. Hearts haven't been in this position in this league for a long, long time, right? So their bottle could go at some point. Rangers and Celtic are both in a position just now where they're not great and they're not firing all cylinders. Their bottle could go at any point. And Motherwell could be one of the ones that came in just trotting along and you never know how that goes, right? So it's a top four. We're not talking top two, top three. We're talking top four at the moment, right? My first question to you is, given the fact that we are in a top four position and where the European places sit for next season, does that come into the mindset of Rangers as a club that states that actually the Scottish Cup game that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time, that takes on even more significance than what it would have been, given the fact that you might not be in first, second, possibly even third. Is that a distraction for Rangers at the moment, or is it a welcome distraction in terms of you've got that opportunity there in the Scottish Cup that if you beat Celtic, you should essentially be going on and winning. Whoever wins that game really should be going on and winning the Cup. So the first question for you is, how important now does the Cup become given the situation with the top four in the league?
It's difficult to say. Just one thing after back to Graham's point, I think if Celtic had won today, I was pretty much saying the league was done for us. Completely and utterly done, but Hibs have done us a favour. In terms of the Scottish Cup, it's actually quite an interesting question. I think even second place can fall into a conference now, is that right? Considering where we finish. I know a place goes via the Scottish Cup as well. To be honest with you, Chris, I'm not really thinking about Europe for next season. I want to get us league title won because this is the best chance that we're probably ever going to have. It's across the road, we'll get ourselves sorted out soon enough. Hearts are probably going to go from strength to strength as well. But it is. If you think about it, obviously winning the Scottish Cup's important. And if it gets us a place in the league, then fine. A place in Europe, then fine. But I would expect us to not have to rely on the Scottish Cup anyway, because we're Rangers and we should be looking to finish as high in the league as possible, i.e. win it. And if you can't, bare minimum second. As Fernando Rickson once says, first is everything, second's nothing. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
That's where I'm kind of sitting on that question. But it is, I suppose it's good to know that we could actually benefit from winning the Scottish Cup to get a place in Europe. But it's a wee bit embarrassing having to admit that.
No, I hear you. Scott, the second one I wanted to ask you about was, given the fact that you pulled this pod together and letting our frustrations out, which is great, and I think it really allows us to really look at what's happened, right? But I'm thinking longer term now, between now and the end of the season. Every decision that's made, whether it's for Rangers, against Rangers, for Hearts, against Hearts, or whatever, every decision now just ramps up tenfold, right? Is it important? And I think we've all got a duty, right? And I know I was ranting earlier on, right, about referees and what they can do, but is it important that we try and keep a lid on it as well for when decisions are made? Because every game will become even more important as the league goes on, especially as how close it gets. And any wee decision that is open to interpretation is just going to blow things massively out of proportion on some occasions. I'm not saying that's the case tonight, but going forward, is it important that we sometimes take the time to look at it, analyse it, discuss it like we're doing tonight, so that we can get to the root of why that decision was made? But again, also most importantly, is it important we're not waiting for clarification for a month's time for Willie Collum to come out? It should be clarified beforehand so that we can then move on with the next week and not have that lingering. So my question really is, how important is it going to be for Scottish football not to self-destruct in essence, given when a decision is made that someone doesn't like, whether it's for us or against us, or whether it's for someone else or against them? How important is that going to be over the next few weeks not to blow the lid off that, do you think?
You mentioned keeping the lid on. I just want to say I've seen a couple of things on Twitter about Manny Fernandez and Gidi Gassama potentially getting racially abused. So I'm just going to call that out as a podcast. That's not anything that's absolutely shocking. I think that I know everybody's feeling a wee bit high on emotion and stuff, but get a grip of yourself and behave yourself properly. In terms of referees, see, really, Chris, all I want is for VAR to get binned and just get back to the way it was and have just strong refereeing performances is all I want to see. I want to see matches being physical. I want to see being able to get in teams' faces. Teams that we play against these days, and we've done it ourselves in Europe, etc. Teams that we play against these days are, when we are chasing a game or trying to equalise, they're getting after using dirty tactics too much, like falling over the slightest wee thing, taking ages to take a throw in. I just want strong performances and I want fair decisions made, to be brutally honest. I think the refereeing decisions that are getting made is nothing but an embarrassment for Scottish football. The fact that we've got full-time football and it's on Sky and we've got part-time referees is just absolutely pathetic, if I'm being brutally honest. The referees in this country aren't good enough. They're absolutely shocking. I think, personally, for me, the only way to fix that would be to bring in foreign referees and let them take their game forward. We had a chance before Willie Collum got this job to bring in somebody from outside to fix our game, and it's the usual handshake under the table and a wee favour here, and it's who you know, isn't it? I don't want to wait. I know what Willie Collum's done with his show with Gordon Duncan in terms of trying to be accountable and transparent and all that, but it's not fixing any decisions, are they? All the same decisions are still happening. So, in answer to your question, the referees are far from good enough, and all we want to see is strong, fair performances between now and the end of the season. Yeah, absolutely. Scott, if you're okay with time, I've got another question I want to ask to all three of you, and it's based on a comment that was put on earlier on. Looking ahead to next week, massive game Sunday. It's again, every game becomes the biggest game of the season. And Dino, I'm going to start with yourself in this one, if I can, mate. Someone asked the question. Let's have a quick discussion on Nico Raskin, and I'm going to ask yourself this question, and I'll say with Graham and Scotty. If you were Danny Rule, do you start Nico Raskin next week in the middle, given
what we were talking about earlier and some of the performances he's had recently and where things are at? Or would you make the difficult decision? And I really, because it is a big one, because he's probably seen as one of our most saleable assets at the moment. Would you decide, actually, no, we need to go Chukwueze, Diamonde, or any other combination in the middle? What would your thoughts be for next week, given the situation for Raskin at the moment, mate?
He's done nothing recently to give me faith to rely on him in the middle of the park. I wouldn't be playing him. I'd have him on the bench, and I'd be starting Chukwueze and Diamande. That would be and I'd be going the 4-2-2-2 or 4-4-2, whatever it is. That's what I would be doing. He shouldn't be anybody in the starting lineup for me. I was chatting to somebody else recently, and they're saying about selling them after the World Cup, and I was like, well, the money that we're wanting to be getting for him is not going to be for his club form, that's for sure. So for him to go in the £25 million mark that Rangers fans have seen me think that we can possibly get for him, me being one of them, but it's definitely not been on. It won't be on club form. It will be how he performs at the World Cup. I'd love to see him being dropped and for him to come back and have the end of the season like it did last season. But for me, that was when Barry had him further forward and had him more attacking.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. I mean, I know the goal that never got given against Hibs, just the performance in that game, and I know it was a dead rubber and things like that, but my point is, his best patch in a Rangers jersey was when he was further forward. And I don't, as I said, I don't have faith in him whatsoever for him to be the man for things to go through against Celtic. Too big a game to be taking a gamble on somebody that might be good.
Yeah. Just quickly on the back of that then, Dale, before I go to Grim Scotty, who would you play in his place? Who would your two be?
I'd be Diomande and Chukwueze for me.
Just it. Fair enough, mate. Graham, what's your thoughts on that one?
I think what I would like to see is I'd like to see him dropped out, if I'm honest, and Chukwueze and Diamande in the middle of the park for that game. I would like us to go with two up top. I think that would cause them a lot of problems as well and make them think about us. The last two games against them, we've played three at the back, and to me, we've just walked into their hands. That suited them, and we've went to three at the back. So I think for me, we need to get this starting lineup and system right from the first whistle. And I think we'll cause them a lot of problems if we went that 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2 position. So that's what I'd like to see. And he's just not been at the levels that we need him to be, or we know we can be. That's the frustrating thing. We know the levels he can get to. We know the influence he can have in the game. And when he's not performing at that level, he should be kept out of the team. I think he's had an unsettled season. There was obviously issues with Russell Martin and him at the start of the season. He was left out for some games as well. So there's been some problems with him right throughout the season, Chris. So we're bigger than one player, and it's about the football club and the squad that's there, and we need to pick the right team to go and do the business next Sunday. So for me, that's Chukwueze and Diamande in the middle of the park. That's how I would like to see us line up. I've got a slight feeling the manager might go with the flat three in midfield, but we'll see what he does come Sunday.
Yeah. Scotty, same question for you, but I'm just going to add into that Baron Loyal's question. If you did go to drop Raskin out, he's saying who out of Dio and Chucky drops between the centre backs. Then, what's your view on the Raskin situation, and how would you address that one if you do drop Raskin out the side, mate?
See this dropping between the centre backs. This has been a thing for Gio and John Lundstrom, and I'm sick of seeing it. If I'm being honest, from a tactical perspective, what they're doing is they're dropping the centre backs are going wider to allow the full backs going to go high. It was Livingston the day. It's not Barcelona we're playing against. It's not a top class outfit. We should be able to maintain a Livingston attack on the break. We don't need one of our centre mids dropping in. I want to see my centre mids playing together. Just like I want to see my centre forwards playing together, and my wingers staying high and wide, and my full backs doing their job and overlapping and underlapping at the right times. So the answer, Baron Loyal, I don't want to see anybody dropping in between the centre backs because it's not something that I think works. I says to my pal when I club day that I've not seen us control a football match since Steven Gerrard was my manager, when the centre mids didn't drop in, when the 2 6s didn't drop into centre backs, they just scanned an area. That's what should be happening. In terms of Nico Raskin, I agree with Dino. He's not a 6 at all, and I know he wants to be a 6, but he's not a good 6. He's a box-to-box midfielder that's very good at breaking the lines. He's got a good engine. He can't pass a ball. He's okay at tackling, but for me, when he's on the move is when he's most effective. It's not when he's trying to dictate play. This. He's not Stephen Davis. We've not replaced Stephen Davis fairly. I agree with Graham in terms of Chuck Wani and Diamondi next week. I'm kind of arguing myself over a middle 3 and going with a flat 3. That worked before we did the. That worked before we decided to go with the 4-2-2-2, and the 4-2-2 worked against Hearts, and it could work against Celtic, but I'd like to see 2 wingers getting close to Nadiri through the middle, because Nadiri looks like my best striker, and he looks like my best striker when he came on today as well. Don't want my Offsy starting, don't want Charlie starting. That's pretty much where I would sit on it, and I want Badrami to get another run in the team as well, because he came on today and made an impact. Paul Gassara off the bench when Celtic are tired next week.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think you're right about Bayrami. I thought Bayrami was sensational today when he came on. He gave a wee bit of directness there, and he just done all the right things, which was good. His balls into the box were great as well. So I think you're right. I think he maybe be in for a shout. Or Ant-Man. I thought Ant-Man's been done well in the last few games as well. He's maybe somebody maybe need to put down that left-hand side, because if you put him down the right, against Tierney next week, I think Ant-Man could take him all day long and really make a difference there. Gents, look, I think we're going to wrap it up there. That's been a great discussion. Look, we always say it's therapy when we come on here, isn't it? When some stuff happen like that. So, Scott, thank you for pulling everyone together and giving us a wee Brucey bonus pod on this Sunday evening. It's been tremendous to get everything off our chest. But also as well, Scott, what's been really good is we've had a couple of hours to digest it all and to analyse it and to look at it and hopefully come across with some points that people can either agree or disagree with, but hope that we know that we're trying to see it from our side of things and trying to put a perspective on it that we don't always agree with what everyone's saying, but we'll try and give you the best view that we can see of it. And I think we'll be able to do that tonight in the questions and the answers. So the comments have been fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for all your comments and for coming in. A massive thank you to our Bluebells sponsor in Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. We hope you all had a great day over there today, watching them from the bar and having a few beers on the way as well. And thank you for all your support you give to the pod. It is greatly appreciated. And as I said to everyone, thanks for coming in. Please like, share, subscribe if you can. It helps the pod massively, folks. It really does. Dino, Graham, thank you so much for your time tonight and this Sunday evening. It's been much appreciated, and it's always great to be on with you guys.
Right. Sorry, I've just got one more thing to add. Can I get one more thing off my chest, please?
Of course you can. Fire away, mate.
I don't know if anybody else picked that up, but one thing I was really, really angered by today, and with the refereeing, that every single time we had a corner, Pittman was bear hugging Chukwueze. It was like he wanted to take him to bed, and I'm just like that's not been picked up. And you know, when we've been talking about Rangers players' leadership, things like that, there was not one person saying to the referee, like, Tav's taking the corner, Tav can see that. Tav's not even having a word in his ear. Like that, wee things like that helps other teams because they all do it. And every single time he's before the ball's even kicked, and even when it's like one time he was falling down and trying to take him with him. Like, why is that not being picked up? And we're not going to expect Crocker and Mutton to talk about it on comms, but not one Rangers player was even pointing out to the ref. Linesman no point out to the ref not even seen it. Like, that's in the laws of the game, you're doing that to a player, it's a foul, it's a penalty. And every single corner that was happening, and I was just really angered the fact that he was allowed to continually do it every single corner. And I just really want to get it off my chest, because I mean, we're all arguing about that. Was that a penalty? No, at the end of the game, but at the end of the day, every single corner we were having, he was committing a foul against Chukwueze, which is a penalty. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it off my chest.
You're spot on, Dino, and it's a really good one to mention, and it's great to do it. I'm hoping you're feeling better now that you've got that off your chest, and that's going to help you sleep good on a Sunday night, because I wouldn't want you holding that to next week, Dino. That's not one you want to hold, put it that way, mate. But no, you're absolutely spot on, mate. Everything you said is absolutely spot on, and as Baron Lewis said, the best way to stop that, get Chukwueze to hit the deck every time, and guaranteed penalties will happen all the time. That's exactly what should be the case, or they should at least look at it, or we'd hope they'd look at it.
And that's what they call the dark arts that we
Absolutely, yeah,
that we're absolutely useless at.
yeah. Scotty, you brought us together tonight. I'm going to give you the final word to finish up, mate. Anything you want to add before we call it a day for tonight?
No, just thank you all for coming on. It's appreciated, especially for your hard work towards the pod and contributing. It's very much appreciated. Just I want to credit Sky Sports for the footage on the decision earlier on that we put on at the beginning of the pod as well. That will be in the description. But no, apart from that, like and subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow night to speak more things Rangers back at 6:30.
Absolutely. Cheers, Scotty. Listen, gents, thank you, folks. Thank you as always. Just remember, every night is a Rangers dinner night. Good night, folks.